Housing prices didn't quietly rise in America. They sprinted. Rents are breaking records, and somehow we're still being told to just move somewhere cheaper. Here's the problem. Most people keep looking in the same overcrowded places. That's exactly why this video exists. Today's breakdown is titled 10 Cheapest Mountain Towns in America You've Probably Never Heard of. And no, this isn't another list recycling Aspen, Tahoe, or tourist towns where a studio apartment costs more than a new truck. These are real mountain towns with affordable housing, a low cost of living, and scenery that feels unfair for the price. We're counting these down, and some of the most affordable, livable places don't show up until the end. So it's worth sticking around. We're talking cheap mountain towns to live in. Places where people are quietly buying homes instead of bidding against 40 investors. Hidden mountain towns in the USA where grocery bills don't feel like a prank. Traffic isn't a lifestyle, and the mountains are actually part of daily life, not just a postcard backdrop. Small towns in America are changing fast. Remote work, relocation trends, and rising urban costs are pushing people toward budget-friendly towns that still offer culture, jobs, and real community. Some sit near national forests, others have deep history or strong local economies, and some still have real estate prices that haven't gone completely feral yet. If you're wondering where to live in America, thinking about relocation, or tired of hearing that affordable mountain life is over, this video matters. By the end, you'll have a clearer picture of which towns actually make sense, and why people are moving quietly before prices catch up. If this kind of honest breakdown helps, kindly support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and dropping your thoughts or questions in the comments. This is across the United States, and we're staying ahead of the next move for your wallet's sake. Let's get into it. Number 10. Malone, New York. A tiny mountain-adjacent town that's literally affordable enough to make your wallet breathe again. This place sits right on the edge of the Adirondack foothills, population hovering around 5,373 people. So yes, everybody kinda knows everybody. Here's the part that gets serious attention. The median home value in Malone is about $168,600 right now. You know, a price point most people can actually imagine owning without crying into their mortgage calculator. And because we're not living in 2005 anymore, rental prices are still way below US averages too. A one-bedroom apartment runs around $920 a month, and even a three-bedroom spot usually stays under about $1,400. For perspective, that's like paying maybe half of what similar places go for in big cities, where spending more on rent than groceries is considered normal. Now don't mistake cheap for boring. Malone's got old-school charm, historic buildings, tree-lined streets, and a vibe that's more about calm outdoor living than traffic jams. Winters here are, well, Adirondack winters, snowy and scenic, with plenty of reasons to love that extra cozy sweater you bought 4 years ago but haven't worn once yet. Summers bring lakes, trails, and enough space that social distancing was basically invented here. The local economy isn't exploding with jobs like a major metro, but the unemployment rate sits around 3%, which isn't shabby for a small town. You'll find a mix of small businesses, local services, and tourism-related opportunities thanks to outdoor recreation. Titus Mountain, a local ski and winter sports spot, gives you reason to stay busy when the snow hits. Honestly, Malone feels like the best-kept secret of upstate New York. Real mountain views, real small-town community, and real affordability, without the flotillas of tourists you see in places like Lake Placid. Number 9. Beckley, West Virginia. A place where the Appalachian scenery feels like it walked straight out of a nature calendar. But your housing budget doesn't have to starve for it. First off, if you're into real numbers, the current median home value in Beckley sits right around $144,000, which is significantly lower than the national average. That's the kind of price tag where you start thinking, okay, maybe I can have a yard and still eat. Rentals are pretty friendly too. Average about $850 per month if you're not ready to buy. Let's be honest, that's the kind of affordability that makes you pause, even if you're just daydreaming while scrolling real estate sites. The town itself has a cost of living about 10 to 13% below the US average, meaning groceries, utilities, and everyday basics feel easier on your wallet than most places. But Beckley isn't just a savings account with hills. This town sits just a short drive from New River Gorge National Park. Yes, that gorge that became a full-blown national park a few years back and instantly turned Midwest road trips into scenic pilgrimages. So, whether you're into hiking, whitewater rafting, or just pretending you're on the next mountain living cover, there's outdoor life here without the sticker shock. The community vibe is that classic mountain town mix. Close-knit without being claustrophobic, friendly without forcing hugs, and full of small businesses and local flavor. You won't find high-end boutiques or Michelin stars, but you will find craft markets, Appalachian music, and plenty of trails that make every weekend feel like a mini vacation. Beckley's economy is rooted in history and nature. Mining legacy meets outdoor tourism. And while it's not booming like a big city, it's stable, inviting, and infinitely more affordable than many places mountain lovers consider. So if you've been thinking about a home with real scenery on the cheap, Beckley is that right place for that. Number 8. Pocatello, Idaho. Now let's roll into the west and meet Pocatello, Idaho, what I like to call Idaho's pleasantly shocking answer to expensive mountain living. This town sits in the southeast part of the state and is wrapped up in rolling foothills, big sky views, and the gentle hum of everyday life that doesn't cost you a small inheritance. Locals joke that the mountains here are friendlier, probably because they come without a 7-figure price tag. First, let's talk numbers because numbers don't lie most of the time. As of the latest data, the median home value in Pocatello is around $307,400. That's significantly below the Idaho state average and generally below the national average, meaning a lot of buyers actually have a real shot at owning rather than just window shopping houses online. Renters have it pretty nice too. Recent rent listings show a wide range, but a one-bedroom apartment typically goes for around $936 per month, while two-bedroom units hover near $1,240 per month, still often more affordable than big city prices. Here's the thing that really makes Pocatello worth a look. Its overall cost of living is about 8 to 13% lower than the US average, mostly because housing and daily essentials don't gouge your wallet. That makes it a genuine option for people who want mountain access without paying like they're buying beachfront property. But you don't move somewhere just for the spreadsheet numbers, unless you're a spreadsheet person, in which case this is great news. What really gives Pocatello personality is the vibe. You've got the Snake River and the Portneuf River flowing through, walking and biking trails galore, and a downtown that still feels like the kind of place where baristas recognize your order, even if you've only been there twice. Outdoor lovers are genuinely spoiled here. Hiking, fishing, mountain biking, and there's even skiing within reach during winter. Plus, Idaho State University brings arts, sports, and a youthful energy that keeps the town from ever feeling sleepy. No place is perfect, of course. Everyone will tell you about the quirks of small-town life. But if your idea of living the mountain life includes affordable housing, outdoor access, and a real community feel, Pocatello checks way more boxes than most people expect. Number 7. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hot Springs might sound like a spa retreat your grandma talks about, but trust me, this place is way more interesting than bathrobes and herbal tea. Nestled in the Ouachita Mountains, this Arkansas town somehow blends natural hot springs, affordable living, and outdoor adventure in a way that almost feels like a happy coincidence. And the best part? You don't have to convince your wallet to take a vacation while you're here. Let's talk real numbers first, because that's the part most people care about on camera. Hot Springs has a cost of living index around 90, meaning it's about 10% cheaper than the US average. That's right. Younger you who cursed rent prices will actually find relief here. When it comes to buying a place, you're looking at a median home value around $250,000, which is much lower compared to many mountain towns that top $500,000. And if you're thinking about renting instead of owning, average monthly rents tend to hover in the low to mid $900. Still lighter on your finances than a lot of city markets. Now let's sprinkle in that spa town magic. Hot Springs grew up around thermal springs that have drawn visitors for over a century, giving it the charming nickname, Spa City. There's historic Bathhouse Row, scenic walking trails, lakes, and access to Hot Springs National Park, which isn't your typical national park with lines at the trailhead. It's literally inside town and free to explore. And here's the part that trips people up. This isn't just a quiet retirement village. Sure, plenty of folks choose Hot Springs for its affordable housing and slower pace. But there's also a real community with festivals, art galleries, breweries, and pretty decent food scenes that make it feel lived in rather than left behind. Job opportunities do lean a bit toward tourism, healthcare, and small business locally, so it's not the place where tech bros flock. But for folks who want nature, culture, and affordability all wrapped into one mountain-adjacent town, Hot Springs punches well above its weight. So if mountain town life where you don't want to sell a kidney had a poster child, Hot Springs might just be it. Number 6. Ellijay, Georgia. Ellijay. Say it out loud. It sounds like something a cartoon mountain sprite would dream up. But it's very real, and what it lacks in name credibility, it makes up for in charm, affordability, and scenic mountain life. Nestled in the North Georgia mountains, Ellijay is best known as the apple capital of Georgia, where orchards stretch for miles. The fall festival turns the town into a sugar and cider wonderland, and the mountains are gentle enough to feel welcoming instead of intimidating. Let's talk numbers, because you didn't come here just for apple pie, though that's a solid bonus. The median home price sits around $490,000. Affordable compared to other mountain towns or resort-heavy areas. For renters, you're usually looking at $1,000 to $202,000 a month, depending on size and location. That's not just livable, it's the kind of pricing where your wallet doesn't start crying before you even unpack. Compared to ski towns in Colorado or the Rockies, Ellijay is downright generous. Ellijay's small downtown is a walkable gem. Local cafes, antique stores, and family-owned shops give it a friendly, we-know-your-name-after-2 visits vibe. The pace of life is calm, but it's far from boring. Hiking, mountain biking, and river kayaking are all just minutes away. Even winter brings subtle magic, with misty mornings, frost-tipped trees, and a slower rhythm that's hard to find elsewhere. Community here matters. People move to Ellijay not just for scenery, but because the town genuinely feels alive. From farmers markets to local festivals, the town strikes a balance between quiet mountain life and just enough local activity to keep weekends interesting. And unlike high-priced resorts, Ellijay offers real affordability without sacrificing lifestyle, views, or access to nature. So, if your idea of mountain life includes gentler hills, orchard sunsets, and a place that feels like home instead of a postcard, Ellijay is a town that quietly steals your heart and doesn't ask you to spend it all in the process.
We are halfway through the countdown. If you're enjoying the video so far, hit the like button, subscribe to Across the United States, and ring the notification bell for more informative contents about the United States. Let's get back into it.
Number 5. Grants Pass, Oregon. Let's swing out to southern Oregon and talk about Grants Pass, the town that feels like a mellow welcome mat from nature itself. If mountains had personalities, Grants Pass would be that friend who shows up with a cooler full of snacks, not a list of charges. It's tucked into the Rogue River Valley, framed by forests and water views that make you go, yep, I could live here. The median home sale price is around $380,000 to $400, depending on the source and market timing. That's higher than some small mountain towns, but still way friendlier than ski town prices in parts of Colorado or Montana. Rentals here vary, but median rents are about $1,500 per month. Sometimes more in popular zips, and sometimes a little less if you're willing to hunt around. It's not ultra cheap by every definition, but in the Pacific Northwest context where the average home is well north of $500,000, Grants Pass still feels like a relative bargain, with real scenery and a real community. The vibe here is outdoorsy, without pretense. The Rogue River runs right through town, pulling boats, anglers, and kayaks like a magnet. You've got miles of hiking and mountain biking trails, parks with summer concerts, and festivals where local artists and food vendors make the scene feel warm and actually lived in. Even if the cost of living here can hover slightly above national averages, largely because Oregon's overall living expenses are higher, the daily quality of life tends to make people shrug and say, worth it. Community here feels big without being crowded. Friendly neighbors, downtown strolls, kayak launches by morning, and breweries by evening. Grants Pass isn't one of those places that's all hype and no substance. It's the real deal if adventurous living with sensible prices and big nature calls your name. Number 4. Berea, Kentucky. Berea, Kentucky, a place where affordability and creative spirit share the same zip code. Officially known as the folk arts and crafts capital of Kentucky, Berea has built its reputation around craftsmanship, community, and surprisingly reasonable living costs. First, the numbers that make folks do a double take. The median home price in Berea sits around $240,000 to $275,000. Depending on the data source you check, that's well under many national averages, especially compared to sprawling western mountain markets, where prices can be double or more. Renting isn't harsh either. Typical apartment rents often land comfortably below larger cities, with many averages in the $800 range depending on size and style. In plain talk, you can actually imagine living here without mortgaging your future vacation fund. And Berea isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. There's personality here. The town pulses with arts, galleries, and workshops that give it a culture you don't find in every small city. It's home to the Kentucky Artisan Center, dozens of galleries, and a network of craftsmen who weave, forge, paint, and craft all sorts of beautiful, functional, and sometimes downright quirky works. Walking downtown feels like a slow Sunday stroll through creativity, a place where even the buildings seem to have character. Outdoor life is accessible too. Berea sits close to forested hills, trails like the Pinnacles, and waterways that invite weekend adventure without a resort's price tag. And because the cost of living here runs roughly 10% below the national average, your daily expenses, groceries, entertainment, housing basics, feel lighter on the wallet. The town is also tied to Berea College, an institution with a long tradition of community focus and arts engagement, which helps shape the local vibe. Sure, Berea isn't a major tech hub or ski town hotspot, but if your definition of mountain town living includes culture, craft, creative energy, and a cost of living that doesn't make you wince, Berea lands on the list like a well-balanced brushstroke. Warm, textured, and genuinely inviting. Number 3. La Grande, Oregon. We head back to Oregon, but this time to a hidden gem tucked between the Blue Mountains and the Grande Ronde River. Meet La Grande. If your mental image of mountain life involves hiking boots, fishing rods, and the occasional river view without posting an arm and a leg, this is your town. Think of it as the Pacific Northwest's quieter, affordable cousin to pricey ski resort towns. Now, let's talk numbers. Because even the most picturesque towns aren't worth it if your budget goes into shock. The median home price in La Grande is around $380,000, which, compared to popular mountain towns in Colorado or the Cascades, is downright reasonable. Rentals are just as approachable. A one-bedroom averages about $900 per month, while larger 2- or 3-bedroom units typically land in the $1,200 per month range. That's mountain living, without the part where your mortgage makes you second-guess your life choices. What really makes La Grande stand out is how it balances affordability with lifestyle. The town is small, just over 13,000 residents, but it punches above its weight when it comes to outdoor recreation. Hiking trails snake up the Blue Mountains, rivers invite fishing and kayaking, and there's plenty of mountain biking for those who like to leave their comfort zone behind. Even winter brings skiing and snowshoeing within reach, without the crowds and wallet-shocking lift tickets of bigger resorts. La Grande also has a surprisingly lively cultural side for a small town. Home to Eastern Oregon University, it benefits from the energy of students, local events, and art programs. Farmers markets, festivals, and small galleries give the town a creative pulse, and local shops mean you're not just living in a place, you're part of a community. The cost of living here is roughly 10 to 12% below the national average, so daily expenses like groceries, gas, and utilities don't eat away at your paycheck. Combine that with scenic views, clean air, and the sense that life moves at a pace where you actually notice the seasons. And it's clear why more people are quietly relocating here. La Grande isn't flashy. It doesn't have the brand name cachet of Aspen or Jackson Hole, but it offers something arguably better: real outdoor living, mountain access, and affordability that doesn't make you wince every time you check your bank account. Number 2. Saranac Lake, New York. A town that somehow balances mountain life, lakeside calm, and affordability in a way that feels almost unfair. If you've ever thought mountain towns were either stunning or affordable, but never both, Saranac Lake quietly disproves that notion. Let's get practical for a second. The median home price here hovers around $185,000 to $200,000. For context, that's less than half the cost of similar-sized homes in some ski-adjacent towns in the Rockies or even upstate New York hotspots. Rentals are equally manageable, with one-bedroom apartments averaging $900 to $1,100 per month, and larger units still comfortably below $1,400, depending on location. Saranac Lake doesn't just save your bank account, it offers seasonal beauty that feels cinematic. Summers are cool and crisp, perfect for kayaking, fishing, or hiking the surrounding Adirondack trails. Winters are snowy enough to make you crave hot cocoa and firewood, but not so chaotic that life shuts down. The town also hosts community events year-round: farmers markets, craft fairs, and local festivals that make you feel like you've stepped into a postcard with personality. The town itself has about 3,750 residents, creating a tight-knit feel without being stifling. Small businesses thrive here. Cafes, artisan shops, and galleries give downtown a friendly, lived-in energy. And because the cost of living is roughly 10 to 15% below the US average, groceries, utilities, and other essentials don't claw back the savings your home just gave you. Whether you're into winter sports, summer lakeside adventures, or just slow mornings with mountain views, Saranac Lake makes it all possible without the price tag of more famous Adirondack towns. It's a rare combo: scenic beauty, outdoor adventure, and affordability. And somehow, the town does it effortlessly. Saranac Lake proves that living in the Adirondacks doesn't have to mean draining your savings or sacrificing community. Snowy winters, clear summers, and genuinely breathtaking surroundings make it a place that feels luxurious without the luxury price. Number 1. Butte, Montana. Butte, Montana, the kind of place that proves mountain living doesn't have to empty your wallet. Unlike the tiny towns we've been through, Butte has a little more heft, with a population of about 35,000 people, but it still feels like a classic mountain town where nature dominates the skyline and history whispers from every brick. Let's start with the numbers, because affordability is the headline here. The median home price in Butte is currently around $290,000, and rentals are equally approachable, with one-bedroom apartments averaging roughly $900 to $1,000 per month, and larger units in the $1,500 to $1,800 range. Compared to popular mountain towns out west, think Jackson Hole, Bozeman, or Aspen, these prices are downright inviting. Your bank account might even throw you a high five. What makes Butte really special is the combination of natural beauty and historical character. The town is wrapped in big sky country scenery, rolling peaks, rivers, and hiking trails galore. But it's not just mountains and wilderness. Butte's history as a mining powerhouse has left behind stunning architecture, old brick buildings, and a downtown that feels both lived in and storied. It's a place where you can stroll past a historic saloon, duck into a coffee shop, and still see the mountains in your peripheral vision. Outdoor enthusiasts won't run out of options. Hiking, biking, fishing, hunting, and even winter sports are all within reach. And for those who appreciate community events, Butte hosts local festivals, farmers markets, and cultural gatherings that showcase the town's character and creativity. The cost of living here is roughly 8 to 10% below the national average, which makes everyday life, groceries, utilities, gas, easier on your wallet than in many other mountain towns. This combination of affordability, outdoor access, and rich history is what earns Butte the top spot on our list. So if you've been dreaming about moving to the mountains but don't want to mortgage your future or compromise lifestyle, Butte offers that perfect mix: wild, scenic, historic, and surprisingly affordable. Mountain town living, doesn't get much. So, that's our list of 10 cheapest mountain towns in America, where the views are big, but the costs are small. Drop a comment below. Which mountain town would you actually move to, and which one totally surprised you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss on any of our videos.